Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on this 13th day of August. Nice day, a little more humid than we had. Chris, you were gone for a couple of days. You missed, I mean to tell you, the best weather of the entire month has been the last few days.
Yeah, no, and I hate to miss it because I went to where the weather was not nearly as pleasant, like mid-upper 90s.
Yeah,
So.
well, we had a great few days, and it's not too bad today, but, I mean, really, you should have been here this weekend. It was awesome.
Yep.
We have got a lot of ground to cover here today. I want to start off with, I got a lot of 2024 news. I mean, I'm going to be hitting it 3-4 times during the show. But each of them is very different. That's because there's just so much to cover. I think we have to start with Donald Trump. And, if you have gotten a little down on the mouth, got a little depressed because of some of the things that I have said about messaging, well, I just want you to know this. He's still in it. And now it's tighter than it was before. The polling numbers are a lot tighter than they were. But over at CNN, this guy, Harry Enton, and I know it's CNN and all that, but this guy who does their number crunching over there is really good. And quite frankly, as far as I can tell, he just reports what the numbers show. He doesn't really try to color it one way or the other. And he says, the numbers are tighter. But he said, don't count Trump out of this thing. He still very possibly could win because, well, the polls tend to always overestimate how the Democrats are going to vote.
I want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here before. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And, of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now and compare that to where he was in prior years.
And I think that's pretty solid analysis. Of course, everybody's talking about the big Elon Musk and Donald Trump interview, which was, I hate to say it, rambling at times. I mean, basically, you're talking about first, let me say, we need people in this country like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We need an Elon Musk who thinks outside the box, who is an innovator and looks at the world completely differently. And we need a Donald Trump who does the same thing. He looks at the things in government that don't work, and he says, why are we doing it this way? We need somebody with fresh eyes like he had when he came in, somebody with business acumen. But let's just be honest. Both these guys at times could do with a good dose of Adderall or Ritalin. I mean, come on. They do sort of go all over the place. But I have gone through most of this interview with Elon and Trump and pulled out what I think were some of the better moments. First of all, it started about 40 minutes late, and according to Elon Musk, they had a big server attack.
All right. Hello, everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers and saturated all of our data lines, like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say.
Well, it didn't take very long for Trump and Elon to go down the path of talking about the assassination attempt. Here's that.
Looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the #1 spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like if you were to pick, like, what is the favorite, so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building. The
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better location. It's like number one.
That would have been the spot. Not pleasant. I have to be honest.
Pleasant.
I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle. And, it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. You know, I was telling somebody you have instances like this or like a lot less than this where you feel it's a surreal situation. And I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah.
And because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, bullets, bullets, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer. Now I'm more of a believer, I think. And a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle.
All right. Well, it really is. The more you hear him talk about it, I think he said it was like the loudest bee I ever heard. Like a bee came zipping right past his ear and hit him. There was a talk about, he starts off on one topic, goes to another, but then comes back to it. The border. And Kamala, who recently has taken on to copying some of his ideas with regard to tax breaks for those who work on tips.
Would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration and especially unvetted illegal immigration because that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that accurately represent your position?
I say it very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked. Yeah. Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. No tax on tips. And all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents. And many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job in the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12 million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country, many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is insane asylums, and many are terrorists.
Many are terrorists. That's exactly what he had to say. Now, Elon picked up on that and made a prediction that Trump did not disagree with.
And I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years, we have 20 million people for it. It's a terrible.
Yeah, I think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years. It's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't have a country left. Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. You know, we think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, you know, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. And I had to stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think this is a super important point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico.
No, Mexico less.
It's just the border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the US.
We're already overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed.
Can you imagine 50 to 60 million in a Kamala Harris administration coming across the border? Well, he took a shot also at the sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden.
And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been, that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite, And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disastrous.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the two armies, you lost 500,000 people. And, Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story. But if you think about it, Russia's gone, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force. Yeah. Sure. And it's very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight. And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that. And a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think those were sort of like the big highlights out of the entire Elon Musk Donald Trump extravaganza. Listen, it's sort of hard sometimes to follow these two guys, but I mean, there's no doubt that, you were talking about two originals. I mean, completely different people who are just wired different than most people. And that's a good thing. I really do think that's a very positive thing. So that is the thing everybody's talking about. Now, before we get done here, we're going to be looking at some of the incredible things that Kamala Harris is flip-flopping on. We will talk about some very effective messaging that is coming from people who support the president. They're actually better than the stuff coming out of the campaign. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And you'll hear from a grandmother from Wisconsin, who has some very troubling things to say about her experiences with Tim Walz. It's all going to be happening here on The Drive. A good day to settle in. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Here's a question for you. Are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Could be hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. Now, you can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. There's no cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer to schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Israel remaining on high alert over expected attacks from Iran. President Biden, he's prepping for his speech at next week's DNC. And a Middle Tennessee contractor, he gets jail time. We'll have those stories at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. There's Jay Harper back there in the newsroom, getting all of the hourly and half-hourly newscasts ready for you. And back from a few days off is our good friend, he's Chris Webber. He's the man, the myth, the legend. That's right. And did you have a good trip, good time off?
Yeah, it was nice. Nice family time. And, family time is family time.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Like a little bit of it goes a long way sometimes.
Sometimes.
I understand. This story is just amazing. And I don't know. I mean, it's done tongue-in-cheek, but it's apparently real. And I'm talking about Titans quarterback Will Levis has partnered with the people who make Hellmann's mayonnaise. Now, I did not know this, but apparently he has a very interesting relationship with the condiment mayonnaise. Did you know this, Chris?
I've never heard that until I heard this.
Yeah. Last year, Titans quarterback Will Levis brought the combination of coffee and mayo to the world. Apparently, I can't imagine, but it's something that he tried in the past. Maybe it was by accident. I'm not sure, but one way or the other, he apparently has some kind of he likes mayonnaise. Apparently, that's all I can tell you.
Okay.
Well, now he is partnered to create the world's first parfum de mayonnaise. In other words, it's cologne with the scent of mayonnaise in it.
Oh, that just sounds lovely.
This is
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Number 8, parfum de mayonnaise.
And I wish, again, there are times when I wish this was television, because if you could see some of the images, it's just hilarious. He's like I say, he's licking mayonnaise off his finger. He drinks at one point what appears to be a jar of Hellman's. He's having a good time with it. But the perfume is actually real. They promise it's real, but sold out already.
What would it smell like?
I don't know. Well, you want to know? I'll give you exactly what it's with notes of tart lemon, mayonnaise, accord, musk, vanilla, and coffee.
That sounds downright horrific.
Yeah, it's not something you'd want to eat, but would you want to smell it, I think, is the question. Here's what Will Levis had to say about the fragrance. With the launch of my signature scent, I have fulfilled a lifelong dream of partnering with Hellman's to craft a fragrance like no other, one truly embodying the distinct scent of greatness, said his PR person who wrote this for him. Rich and creamy, Will Levis number 8 is more than a mayonnaise-inspired fragrance. It's transformative. I've eaten mayo, I've drunk mayo, and now I smell like mayo.
Raccoons everywhere will be flocking to you if you wear that.
I don't know what the deal is, but I mean, apparently he's very serious about this. Can you get it? Well, no, it's all sold out. It must have been a limited run.
They'll be selling they'll probably be on eBay, after the people get them, and they'll be reselling them for hundreds of dollars. If he's smart,
he'll sell it out there at the stadium during the football season. That's what he should do.
Well, all right. We got to watch it when it's warm out. You don't want to expose too much to the sun.
No, because the perfume would get to, what is it, botulism or something. All right, time for the news at 3:30.
Good afternoon. It is 3:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny. We are at 86 degrees. A forecast, a traffic report. They're both on the way. The White House warning that the U.S. assesses Iran could launch an attack on Israel as early as this week, and that the U.S. has to be prepared for an attack that could be significant. President Biden says it's his expectation that Iran would call off any retaliatory strike on Israel if a ceasefire deal in Gaza is reached. He spoke briefly to reporters as he arrived in New Orleans today.
It's getting hard. We'll see what Iran does, and we'll see what happens if there's any attack. But I'm not giving up.
Well, the president due to speak at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago next week, where Democrats will get a chance to make their case to the American voting public. The president, again, with that speech, he's expected to really support his vice president, who's now at the top of the ticket.
The White House says that the president is looking forward to this convention. He's expected to be in speech preparation over the next few days. He's headed to Camp David over this weekend. The White House says that he's going to deliver a message of unity, but also talk directly to the American people about the stakes in this election.
That is Selena Wang reporting. Back here in Nashville, News Channel 5 reports a man is now sentenced to 10 years in prison after he claimed to be a contractor and took money from families throughout the mid-state. Michael Burton pleaded guilty to home improvement services fraud in 7 cases, ranging from Putnam, Cumberland, White, and Jackson counties. He pleaded guilty to 5 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. Investigators say that Burton stole over $220,000. He said he would do construction work as a licensed contractor, but he didn't have a license and he didn't do the work. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
You know, Genesis Diamond's most extreme values on diamond engagement rings is coming to an end. You have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to get the price of a lifetime on a GIA certified diamond ring. The response has been incredible. People have driven for hours to buy like a dealer buys. All GIA certified diamond rings are on sale. A full 20% discount off Genesis' amazing everyday value price. We're talking about values you never thought were possible. From a half carat to 20 carat diamonds, all handpicked for maximum brilliance, all graded by the most prestigious gem lab in the world. Don't be surprised if you see jewelry store owners and diamond dealers shopping alongside you. Rounds, radiants, pear shapes, ovals, princess cuts, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Genesis has the largest GIA diamond ring selection you've ever seen. And now through Sunday, you can take advantage of this rare buying opportunity. Limit 1 per customer, please. Get the Genesis no middleman direct importer price, minus an extra 20% off on all GIA diamond engagement rings. Now through Sunday, 5 p.m. at Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See the store for details.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
.38 past the hour. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock, bringing you news and information you can use and maybe a laugh or two. I mean, who knew about mayonnaise and Will Levis? I mean, I didn't know.
Ugh, how can you forget it now?
Yeah, I know. Now all I can think of is, I want something with mayonnaise on it. Kamala Harris. She's a piece of work. I got to tell you, she's out there disavowing everything that she's ever stood for. Everything that you thought you knew about Kamala Harris. Well, she says that's not true. That's not true anymore. And over at the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, could you name some of the major achievements of Kamala Harris as vice president? And what you're going to hear is a lot of 45 seconds worth of hemming and hawing.
What does the president see as the vice president's biggest achievement during their time in office together?
So look,
you always know you're about to get a line of hooey when she goes, well, so look. And then at some point she'll say, we've been very clear. No, that's usually what she does.
Because they've been partners, those achievements have been done, certainly. Those historic, unprecedented achievements have been done together. I'll say this, the president believes in the vice president leadership, her temperament, her experience, and he has said this himself. One of the proudest decisions that he made in 2020 was selecting her as vice president because he believed that she can go on day one. And you've seen them do that together on day one of this administration. That doesn't change. I'm not going to parse out
because she can't
anything from here. They have been partners. She's been a critical partner for this president for during this term, and will continue to do so.
So the reporter followed up and said, so there's no specific policy achievement. It's just a comprehensive whole. And she went on to say, I would say it's a comprehensive whole. Our accomplishments here, the Biden-Harris accomplishments, are the Biden-Harris accomplishments. Okay. She played a role, whether it's being on the floor of the Senate, right, getting really important legislation. So in other words, what she has done there is she said, she's a part of every mistake that we've made here in this presidency. So she's tied Kamala Harris back to the policies, the failed policies of the Biden administration. She's trying to redefine herself every step of the way. To show you an example, let us launch the Wayback Machine. If we could, stand, get your head, quick, get your safety goggles.
We're going back in time. I remember it as if it were yesterday.
Here is Kamala Harris on her ideas about nationalized health care.
And the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care, and you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company. Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Yeah. All right.
Now, that last little bit there was from an NBC debate of Democrats when she was running for the presidency, along with about 10 other Democrats, right? And when Lester Holtz of NBC News asked that question, the only two, Joe Biden was there. I mean, there's a whole host of people that were in that lineup. Only she and Bernie Sanders raised their hands. Only Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders raised her hand. So now she says, no, that was the position I held, but now I no longer hold that position because I want to be president and I have to lie about my positions in order to get that job. Here we go from the Washington Post again. In Pennsylvania, Harris can't shake her anti-fracking past. After years of positioning herself as a climate crusader and ardent opponent of fracking, Kamala Harris has avoided mention of such credentials in this must-win state for Democrats where natural gas drives the economy, culture, and everyday conversation. Her new approach is proving to be a tough sell. Many of the swing voters whose livelihoods rise and fall with the fortunes of the fossil energy industry have not forgotten the last time Harris ran for president, when she called for a ban on fracking, extracting natural gas by creating cracks in the Earth's bedrock. It's a position she now disavows. Even the boom in oil and gas production under the Biden-Harris administration is failing to assuage anxieties of the halcyon days of fracking for natural gas here would dim if Harris wins the White House. These concerns are putting out-of-reach voters who might otherwise fit the profile of the vice president's target audience. They are people like 31-year-old Emmanuel Paris, whose quest to expand his family 400-employee construction firm into green energy projects drove him to get a master's degree in sustainability management. He has no doubt that climate change is real, but Paris will be voting for Donald Trump. It's not like we can just shut off everything and switch to solar and wind, Paris said in the business office of the century-old firm started by his great-grandfather. Paris said green energy work is still years away from replacing the contracts the firm has building gas pipelines. He rattles off a litany of Biden-Harris administration policies he says are inhibiting growth in the local energy sector, such as restrictions on permits and cumbersome regulations. He called the vice president's disavowal of the fracking ban she earlier championed a grab for votes. And that's exactly what it is. She's not sticking with anything she believed before because she knows how radical her ideas sound to mainstream American voters. When you're trying to convince people, moderate voters, that you're not as liberal as they think, you have to disavow a lot of the things that you have said in the past. But what do you really believe she will do if she gets the office? What do you think? She'll revert back to her natural instincts? Her natural progressive instincts? Of course she will. Byron York at the Washington Examiner had a really nice piece. No, Kamala Harris cannot flip the script on the border. She's trying to flip the script on the border. She tries to suggest that she is going to do everything she can to tighten the border. And the obvious question becomes, well, why don't you do it now? The Harris strategy, if it can be called that, is to find a way to avoid blame for the Biden-Harris administration's welcoming, encouraging, and accommodating more than 10 million illegal and unvetted border crossers who have entered the United States since Harris took office. The migrants have spread into cities and towns across the country, burdening municipalities struggling to house and feed them. Some have committed horrendous crimes. Culturally, on top of the nation's existing immigration process, it's a bad idea to let in so many unassimilated migrants so quickly, since it overwhelms the country's ability to turn them into Americans. And fundamentally, the border rush represents an offense against the nation's sovereignty and the rule of law, writes Byron York. This story it's a related story from justthenews.com. Biden-Harris failed to remove 90% of illegal immigrants under a new ICE program. House Committee on Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green, Republican of Tennessee, talked about this. He said, a report from the New York Post showing that the Biden-Harris administration has rarely removed illegal immigrants under a new immigration and customs enforcement program. It's called the Family Expedited Removal Management Program, or FIRM. They love their acronyms in Washington. FIRM, F-E-R-M. Program was announced in May of 2023, and the administration has only removed, in all of that time, 2,600 illegal immigrants arriving as family units, while Border Patrol apprehended almost 850,000. It's a drop in the bucket. These numbers are further proof that the Biden-Harris administration's policies have nothing to do with actually securing the border or enforcing the law, but instead masking its utter refusal to do either of those things, said Congressman Green in a statement. Here is probably really what it's about. Reshaping the electorate. Biden-Harris administration granting citizenship at the fastest rate in a decade. You listen to this? The federal government is approving. See, now over here we were talking about a program to remove. Here we're talking about a program to approve and grant citizenship. The federal government is approving U.S. citizenship requests at the quickest rates in a decade, dispensing with a backlog attributed to the coronavirus pandemic and a tighter approval regime that reached its zenith under former President Donald Trump. Naturalization ceremonies typically spike ahead of an election. The New York Times report makes clear before detailing the rise in approval numbers for citizenship that also confers with it full voting rights. The change in speed can be traced back to the last change in occupant for the White House. After taking office in 21, Biden issued an executive order that sought to reverse former President Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda and restore faith in the legal immigration systems, the New York Times outlines. Among other steps, the order called for the action to substantially reduce current naturalization processing times. What they want is to get as many people as they can naturalized in advance of the election. I think it's pretty obvious why. And here's the thing. As Byron York so aptly points out, she can't walk away from it. And in fact, Corrine says that she's part of everything that they did in the Biden Harris administration. She's right there in lockstep with the president. She was part of the planning. She was part of everything that happened there. That's what Corrine said just a few moments ago. I just read it to you. So they cannot walk away from the fact that they're doing these things. They're doing these things in an attempt to change the voting demographics in advance of this election. By the way, there's this, justthenews.com. The Harris campaign requires ID if you want to attend one of her rallies. But she opposes voter IDs. Unbelievable. She's repeatedly espoused opposition to voter ID laws, yet her campaign recently required that attendees present a valid identification if they're going to RSVP for one of her rallies. The event took place Friday at the Desert Diamond Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. And ahead of the event, the campaign distributed an email requiring attendees to RSVP and then to present a government-issued ID. So you can't get in, if you're a supporter of Harris, you can't get in to one of her rallies without an ID, but you can vote. Something wrong about that. So incredibly wrong. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. All right, listen, Grace Point Healthcare wants you to know that they provide affordable and comprehensive and convenient medical care delivered the old-fashioned way. Affordable, comprehensive, and convenient. And so, listen, think about some of the things you may need. Do your kids need a sports physical? Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. Anytime you're scheduling an international trip, you may need to get the right immunizations, and Grace Point offers complete travel immunizations that is CDC certified for yellow fever and all other international immunization protocols. And this is so important, because they will see you the same or next day, you don't have to wait days or weeks to see a doctor. I mean, what good is having a doctor if you have to wait weeks or months just to get an appointment? At Grace Point, remember, they're affordable, comprehensive, and convenient. That's modern medicine at your convenience. Located on Main Street in Franklin, here's the number, 615-599-6868, to set up an appointment.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Israel still on pins and needles about a potential retaliatory attack from Iran. A big change at future Taylor Swift concerts. And a Nashville man arrested for brandishing a machete. We'll have those stories at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, the market's looking pretty good today, roaring back after the big hit we took last week. Dow Jones Industrials up 408 points, the S&P up 90, the NASDAQ up 407 points today. Let's check in with Ty Draper over at Beacon Capital Management to see what's driving all this. Good afternoon, Ty.
Yeah, hey, Brian. The Dow snapped a 3-day losing streak, and NASDAQ rose almost 2.5%. This was bolstered by new PPI data and gains in NVIDIA of over 6.5%. PPI rose a meager 0.1% instead of the street's prediction of 0.2%. And this gives further evidence that the tide may have turned on inflation, especially in the service industries. The 10-year bond dropped to 3.85%, promptly making analysts believe the $6 trillion in cash will eventually spill back into the markets. Will the market continue to recapture the recent losses, or will it drop like a ride at the Wilson County Fair? We'll just stay tuned tomorrow as new CPI and retail sales data come out.
All right. Thank you very much, Ty. And yeah, it is fair time, isn't it? Well, listen, for all the things that you need to get ready for retirement, just go check out all the things that the people at Beacon Capital Management can do for you. Go to the website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 past the hour. D.T. McCall, been around 100 years. I mean, I'm telling you, think about the accomplishment, a family-run business that has been operating successfully in Middle Tennessee for more than a century. And the reason that they are there is because they have a reputation for treating you honestly and forthrightly. They're not going to mess around with you like the big box stores do. They give you a price. It's an honest price. It includes delivery, setup, and haul away. They don't nickel and dime you for that kind of stuff like the stores do. And it's a company that does, whenever possible, it does business with other companies in Middle Tennessee. Don't you want to spend your dollars with a Tennessee company that supports other Tennessee companies? Of course you do. Keep your dollars local. Don't send them off to some big box store with a corporate headquarters in Delaware. I mean, come on. D.T. McCall's, if you need furniture, appliances, whatever it is you need for your home, just look up their nearest location at their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good afternoon. It is 1 minute past 4 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've had some clouds roll in. It's 87 degrees. A complete forecast and another traffic report are coming up. Israel still on high alert this week. They're bracing for a potential attack from Iran. The U.S. sending assets to the region, including a missile submarine and an aircraft carrier strike group. Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder said those assets aren't meant to be a strike first, but he says they are there to send a message to Iran.
I'm not going to speculate or get into hypotheticals on when and if Iran launches an attack or one of their proxies launches an attack. Their public comments have been very clear, so we need to take those seriously. But our focus is on de-escalating tensions.
And after a foiled Taylor Swift terror plot, no Tay-gating. Yeah, that's intentional. At her upcoming shows, we hear now from ABC's Jason Nathanson.
It kills me. We've become accustomed to seeing crowds outside of Taylor Swift shows at stadiums around the world, fans who don't have tickets singing and socializing. But for upcoming shows at London's Wembley Stadium, they're saying stay home. A note on Wembley's website says no one is allowed to stand outside and non-ticket holders will be moved on. It's unclear if this is policy or new safety measures in the wake of a foiled terror plot to attack her show in Vienna last week. The first of 5 London shows start Thursday.
Back here in Nashville, Metro Police say they've arrested a man who was following people around with a machete.
News 2 says it was just before 8:30 last night near the intersection of Murfreesboro Pike and Thompson Lane. Police got a call from people in a parking lot saying a man was following them around with a machete. Officers say they got there and found 43-year-old David Cole holding a machete, but he was sweating profusely too, seemingly high on narcotics. Police say they had to tase him for not following officers' commands. Earlier in the night, Cole allegedly crashed a Chrysler van into utility poles along Thompson Place and nearly ran over someone near Mill Creek. The 43-year-old is being held in Metro Jail on an $84,000 bond. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair, bringing you news, bringing you information, and a chuckle or two every once in a while. When we're lucky, we have something funny to talk about. So listen, buckle up, everybody. We're going to be with you all the way till 7 o'clock tonight, and there's a lot of ground to cover. I've had to give up on the whole idea of doing one 2024 report, because there's just too much material out there. So I'm breaking it up into 2 or 3, segments, because, that's the thing everybody really cares about, don't you think? I mean, right now, is there anything more important than beating Kamala Harris and Tim Waltz in the coming election? And to do that, I have to be honest with you. Sometimes I don't think that the Trump campaign, and actually I think it's Trump. I don't mean to criticize a guy who I'm going to vote for, who I support, who I know you support, and I know that every time I say things like this, I run the risk of getting into trouble with some of you out there. But his messaging has not been very focused. And it's not been focused on the right things. And, this whole Kamala Harris thing has caused a shift in the numbers. The numbers are tighter. The polls are tighter. And, all of the things that I was saying before, where Trump has the wind at his back and the things are going this way, that's all under, when he was running against Biden. For reasons that, that are hard for me and probably hard for you to understand, the whole situation in this country has changed now that Kamala Harris is the nominee. And she's got Tim Waltz there. Now, she's finding favor among those voters that you got to win over, the people in the middle. Now, Trump's got you. He's got me. And I love him, and I'm going to vote for him. And I know you love him, and you're going to vote for him. And you got Democrats who are going to vote for Kamala Harris. It's those people in the middle we got to get, right? And that takes effective messaging. And the thing that I think she's getting away with murder in one regard. She's changing her positions on all the positions she held before, and nobody's really calling her out on it. And the person who needs to be doing that and doing it very effectively is Donald Trump. More than anybody else. J.D. Vance has got this message down, but we need to convince Donald Trump to refocus on Kamala and her positions, because that will win this race for him. So I found this story. There is mounting pressure on Donald Trump to talk about the issues at stake as the Republican nominee works to navigate a new state of play in the presidential race. Some feedbacks have been private, with lawmakers, donors, and informal outside advisors asking Trump and top campaign aides directly to stick to the issues and drop the personality-driven attacks, according to 4 sources briefed on the discussions. When we're able to put effectively Biden's record on her, it will go back to the way it was before, said an outside advisor who is familiar with the dynamics of the race but was not authorized to speak publicly. Everybody knows what needs to be done. I think that's true. Trump's allies agreed he will require an all-of-the-above strategy to prevail that includes a faster pace and a level of message and discipline that he has wavered from in recent weeks. He did it in 2016. In 2020, he got close, the outside advisor said. When he goes out to these states, he has the ability to make a positive message. And look, it's simple. Contrast her message with his. And boy, is that person right. Could not be more right. Let's see. Don't pick this up. Trump's staff is working to notch what it considers incremental wins over time in persuading him to shift the message by refusing to give the comments air from Harris and showing him the bad press that results, a senior member of the Trump campaign told NBC News. You've got a short time frame, says Kevin McCarthy, former Speaker of the House. You may not like Kevin McCarthy, but his instincts on this are correct. You've got a short frame of time to do it, so don't sit back. Get out there and start making the case. You've got to be always assessing the state of the race, and I would like to see more offense from the Trump campaign. Trump the man is campaign's best assets. Put him out there, said Dan Eberhardt, a major Republican donor who backs Trump. Immediately after the Democrat convention closes, I would like to see the gloves come off in a full-throated campaign for Trump. And I could not agree more. His positions are correct. We got a great record to run on. things that, remind people of how good it was under Trump, how bad it's been under Biden, what makes you think it's going to be better. Talk about her flip-flops on the border. Talk about her flip-flops on, nationalized health care. You just go right down the list of all the things that she's flipping and flopping around like a big fish on the deck, just flopping around. She flips and flops. And we got to point that out. We got to point that out in a very effective way. We don't need the name calling. We don't need, a discussion of the size of her crowds. We don't need a discussion about, whether she's black or if she's Indian. These things may matter to you, but honestly, you are not the person we need to be concerned about right now. We need to be concerned about the people in the middle, the people out there in the middle America who come, sometimes they come Republican, sometimes they go Democrat. They were all coming our way. And then it changed. I'm sorry, but it changed, and we now need to adapt. And the way you adapt is to get serious about contrasting your vision for America with hers. Hers is progressive. It's way, way, way outside mainstream political thought in America. It will not resonate with middle America. If only we could get that to be the focus of the campaign. I just could not feel more strongly about this. Again, people say, well, you're being very critical. No, I want to win. I don't want to lose. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win so strong that there'll be no question that he has a mandate from America. I want to dominate the other side. I want to just annihilate them. I want a solid, strong win. And I got to tell you right now, I don't feel like we're on the right path for that. I've just got to be honest with you. That's what I think. And apparently, according to this story, a lot of other people who are very close to Trump are trying to make the same argument. All right? Now, there are people out there who are doing a bang-up job, but it's not the campaign. These are our citizen groups. I mean, like I found this one. This is great. This is so well done. And it's a video, but I'm taking the audio from it, of where somebody just went out there who's a fan of Trump's. It's called the Conservative War Machine. I found it on X. Here is somebody who is making a very, very strong argument about how silly Kamala Harris is with regard to her alleged flip-flop on the border. You ready? This is brilliant.
We don't need to build a wall. And by definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition, it is not an emergency.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder.
Tim Waltz.
To suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country. It couldn't be farther from the truth. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
Out of the terror arrests across the country, we've learned several men with suspected ties to ISIS living in the U.S. have been taken into custody.
Sources familiar with the matter tell us the men crossed the southern border, some over a year ago.
Almost 100 people on the terrorist watch list were released into the U.S. by the Biden administration during a 3-year period.
Tonight, an alarming development in the border crisis. Among the record number of migrants crossing the southern border was a member of an Afghan terror organization.
We are learning that under the Biden and Harris administration, the Border Patrol agents encountered at least 375 illegal migrants on the terror watch list right on the southern border. But what's more shocking is at least 99 of these individuals were actually released into American communities, includes at least 2,000 Afghan nationals, 33,000 Chinese nationals, 551 Iranian nationals, 520 Syrian nationals, and 3,000 Uzbek nationals.
To suggest that we have to build a wall across our southern border because there are terrorists who are trying to invade the country. It couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yes, give me more of that. That's what we need. That's the messaging that we've got to put together in a big way and spend money getting that stuff out there. Again, that's from an organization known as Conservative War Machine on X. It's just a citizen organization that found all the old clips and put them together in an effective way. Make her eat her own words on things like the border. National health care, how she wants to nationalize the health care in America and have you give up your private insurance that you like so much. Here's another one. This is from the Western Lensman. And this one goes after Tim Waltz on the issue of stolen valor. Here, you're going to love this. Here we go.
Tim Walz wants to be a heartbeat away from Commander-in-Chief, but Tim Walz has lied about his military record for years.
He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career.
Walz lied repeatedly about his rank.
Retired Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Walz lied about being in combat.
And make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war,
Walz dodged deployment by retiring when he knew his National Guard unit was going to Iraq.
Everybody knew they were going to train and go to Iraq. The warning order basically stated it, and too much later after he knew it, that's when he retired.
Walz disparaged Minnesota National Guard soldiers.
Mayor said I request the National Guard. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
That same Minnesota National Guard that he disparaged, unlike Walz, served heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim Walz is not fit to be anywhere near the office of Commander-in-Chief. Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that?
I mean, you can't ask for stronger than that. That's about as good as it gets. And again, this is the messaging that needs to be coming from the campaign. And I'm glad that there are citizens out there who are putting this kind of stuff together. I'm glad that people are out there trying to do what they can to help. But we've got money. We've got money for messaging. We got all kinds of money in the budget to run this in the battleground states. We're not going to see a great number of those ads run here in Tennessee, but they need to be running in places like Wisconsin and in Michigan and in Pennsylvania, maybe in Georgia. That's tightened up a great deal. Now, look, he's resilient, and it's not a desperate situation yet, but it sure is getting a lot tighter and making a lot of people nervous. We've got to get the messaging right, and and make sure that we come out. They're going to get all next week. It's going to be about the Democrat convention, and then they're going to get a little bump coming out of there. By the time that Democrat convention ends, we need to be coming at them with every single thing we got, and don't hold back. Now, in a moment, I'm going to tell you another story about Tim Waltz. Told them from the perspective of a grandmother from Wisconsin who was just a small business owner, and how Tim Waltz put her out of business. You don't want to miss it. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. I wish it were true, but there's no easy way to take pressure off your nerves when your back is hurting. That's what really causes it. If you got back pain, it's because there's pressure on your nerves. Yeah, there's no pill. There's no spinal cream. You got a couple of options. One is surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Non-invasive, non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I go there. He's helped me a lot with my neck and my lower back. They have a state-of-the-art facility and this really top-notch high-tech equipment to offer the latest non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half-off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression, but it's aimed at the knee, not the back. And listen, if you're a new patient, here's what you get. You get an exam, an x-ray if you need one, a consultation, your first treatment. And that's only $23. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's another tragedy in Tennessee, a hot car death of an infant. We'll also have your money news, the closing money news for today. That's coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, we all remember, I think, the COVID thing that cracked down on COVID and how difficult it was here in Middle Tennessee, where they closed down, the mayor, Mayor Munchkin at the time, closed down all of the restaurants and bars in town. And it was really difficult for our entertainment industry to rebound. However, I will say this, even though, at first we didn't really know what we were dealing with COVID. I mean, some people had a good instinct about it, but I mean, we really didn't know, and people were dying. And so, the governor, he initially came up with some things that I thought were, probably the right approach given what we didn't know. But very quickly it became clear that the approach of just shutting everything down wasn't working. And the governor relented very quickly, the mayor much, much later. And I remember how angry I was all of that time, angry about how they were destroying the economy of Nashville and angry about the things that they were making us do during all of that time. Well, that all came back to me today as I heard the story of Lisa Hansen. Lisa Hansen is a grandmother. I think she got like 18 grandkids. She is a business owner. She and her husband owned a coffee and a wine bar in Wisconsin. And her story about how she tried to keep her business alive, but how she was run out of business by the heavy hand of Governor Tim Walz of Wisconsin is a tale for the ages. Here it is.
Of course, we all know, I will never forget the year 2020 when COVID happened. And in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living. There's no way we could survive this. We actually joined in with an organization or a group called Open Minnesota, I believe is what it was. We had every right to be open. We had God-given, constitutionally protected rights to be open. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner. They came down. They sent the health department down. They sent everything they could against us. I think it was 5 civil cases were thrown at me and 2 criminal cases were thrown at me. I've incurred tens of thousands in court fees, in legal fees. There have been upwards near 100,000 levied against me. I went to court. I was found guilty. I was not allowed to present my defense in a court of law. I was given a sentence to 90 days, which was the max sentencing people. And this is what we need to be standing against. Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful, coach-like, all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody.
It's sort of, when you hear that story, doesn't it remind you of all the things that we went through? But I mean, here you had a governor, unlike our governor, who relented very quickly and opened things up much quicker than most of the other states did around the country. And I think he did it exactly right. I think the things that he started with, he was quickly, when the evidence became clear, he got rid of them. When it became clear that they weren't working and they weren't going to work, and it was an onerous burden on businesses, etc. But the governor of Wisconsin, Tim Waltz, was incredibly heavy-handed. Did you hear what she said? She had like 5 different cases working against her. She had to spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and she has judgments against her that total over $100,000. Well, that business is no longer in business. And she looks at the situation as Tim Walz wanted to make an example of me. And that's the kind of guy Tim Walz is. Not a cuddly coach, but a hard-nosed progressive who did not like anybody defying his COVID orders. It's 4:30 now on Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We're looking at a mix of clouds and sun, 87 degrees. A complete forecast and the latest traffic report are coming up. A Tennessee father facing charges after his young child was left in a hot SUV and died yesterday near Chattanooga. According to the Collegedale Police Department, Timothy Paul Blackdeer was stopped in a school zone on Monday afternoon and requesting police help with his child, who was unresponsive in the vehicle. Blackdeer told police he forgot to drop the child off at daycare and accidentally left the little girl unattended in his SUV for most of the day while he was working at a construction site. Medics were unable to revive the infant at the scene, and she was declared dead at the Children's Hospital at Erlanger. Collegedale PD said that Blackdeer, he has been charged now with reckless homicide and aggravated child abuse and neglect. We now turn to today's closing money news with Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now, stocks closed at their session highs. The Dow soared 409 points. The S&P added 90, and the Nasdaq may have had the best day of all, up 407 points. Wholesale prices eased a bit in July. Another sign that we may have seen the worst of inflation. The Producer Price Index, which tracks costs month to month and year over year before they reach consumers, rose just 0.1% from June to July, down from 0.2% a month earlier. Prices rose 2.2% since last year, the smallest rise of its kind since March. The Consumer Price Index will be released on Wednesday. Historically, these indices move in tandem, but that isn't always the case. The changes continue to brew at Starbucks now with a new CEO, Brian Niccol, the former CEO of Chipotle, who revived the chain when it was in distress. He replaces Laxman Narasimhan, who's stepping down after a little more than a year on the job.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Johnny Fleeman's Legend Steakhouse. If you're a fan of the flavors over there like I am, here's a little something you didn't know probably. You can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery store aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger. Look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with families and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. And don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing, the South's favorite. Use it as salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh cut veggies or chips, a recipe used in his restaurants for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, just visit johnnyfleeman.com. And you know, it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
37 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Just to clean something up here. Yes, I know. I don't know what I was thinking. When I was talking about Lisa Hansen and Governor Waltz, I think I said Wisconsin. Yeah, of course, it's Minnesota. I mean, not like there's $1 worth of difference between those two states.
Yeah, I didn't even catch it.
Yeah. It's Minnesota, don't you know? You know, I've been to Minnesota a couple times, and I got to tell you, there's a thing there they call Minnesota nice, and the people are really nice. They're truly nice. They just go out of their way to help you. I was there for a convention once, and the people couldn't have been. I went to the Minnesota State Fair, don't you know? Had fried cheese curds. Ooh. It was pretty good, I have to say. About one of the most awesome things I've ever eaten. Right
Sounds
there
good.
it's pretty good. So, excuse the mistake. My bad. Bad radio talk show host. Made a mistake. Ukraine. Well, here's a couple. Well, let's talk about Israel first. We have a very, very, very tense situation in the Middle East right now between Israel and Iran. I mean, Israel, I'm just going to cut through the crap because they're not going to admit it. They never will. But we all know Israel killed a guy who was a Hamas leader right in downtown Tehran, blew up a bomb in his apartment and killed the guy. And I'm not saying that's bad. I think they have every right to go after all the Hamas leaders wherever they are. But if you're Iran and you've let a foreign country carry out a bombing attack inside the city limits of Tehran, well, your people are going to sort of expect you to do something, and you're going to be pretty upset about it. So now the question is, how will Iran react to all of that? Okay, that's what's at stake right now. It's tense. Now, there's a couple of things that we can look at. Here is Sabrina Singh, who is a spokesperson over at the Pentagon, talking about the readiness that they have in the region. They're bringing in more ships. They're bringing in submarines. They're bringing in F-35Cs.
The message that we're sending is clear. It's one of deterrence and one that we will come to the defense of Israel should we need to if Iran were to attack.
If they were to attack. General Pat Ryder saying similar things.
I think we are sending an extremely clear signal, which is that we are going to support the defense of Israel.
If you do this, launch this major attack, the U.S. military will strike back. Why can't you just clearly say that?
I think we've been very clear that we're going to support the defense of Israel, and I'm not going to speculate about potential future attacks by Iran.
It's a fair question, though. I mean, why are you telling Iran in no uncertain terms, if you do this, then well, I'll tell you what Biden always says to Iran. He gives them a one-word: don't do it. Don't. That's all you get from Biden on it. But are they clearly communicating that there will be a price to be paid? I hope they are, because quite frankly, I don't think that Iran wants a wider war. I think they like paying, the people in Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthi rebels to just create chaos all over the Middle East, and they are bad actors. There's no doubt about that. But they don't want a wider war where the United States gets involved in a big way. They don't want that because they can't defend against that, and we all know how it will end up. The United States will prevail because the question is, would other people get in? Would Russia get in? I think Russia's got its hands full. Probably not. Russia's got its hands really, really full right now. But the whole region right now is on tenterhooks, and the thing I'm concerned about is, of course, Israel and Iran, and we're in the middle, and things can get out of control. Things can be misinterpreted one way or the other. Our men and women are in harm's way when you're standing between those two folks. And I hope that we have and I don't have much confidence in this, but I hope we have a commander-in-chief who's capable of navigating what are very, very tricky waters in the Middle East. Now, on to Ukraine and Russia. We haven't talked about them in forever, but I think this is pretty interesting. Ukraine's surprising incursion into Russia leaves Putin scrambling to save face and territory. Things seem to be going well for Vladimir Putin at home and on the battlefield. Now Russia is the battlefield after Ukraine's stunning assault across the border turned the tables on Putin's war and left his army scrambling to retake its own land. That's right. The Ukrainian forces have made an incursion into Russia. It's a remarkable turn of events after a year of things largely going Putin's way, from the short-lived mutiny he put down to his resilient economy and months of grinding gains on the front lines. The Russian leader sounded almost irate as he vowed to squeeze the enemy out of his country's territory at a crisis meeting with top officials Monday, warning Kiev that they will receive a worthy response to its Kursk offensive. Russia remains united, he said. The country's troops, he boasted, have even accelerated their advance in Ukraine's east, and those forced to evacuate their homes in Russia's border region, he said, will be well taken care of. But he admits that indeed the Ukrainians have control of what appears to be about 400 square miles of Russia. So what is Ukraine up to here? I think probably what they are trying to do is better, because I think we are probably going to be headed to some peace negotiations. And so if Ukraine can go in and take up 400 square miles of Russia, they have a bargaining chip, right? It was not well defended. I don't think Putin ever expected them to come across the border. Remember now, the Ukrainians have F-16s. They have F-16s, and their pilots are trained, and they have modern weaponry attached to those F-16s. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens there in the next few days. Another story of it, this is Russian President Vladimir Putin promised to kick the enemy out of his country's territory after it emerged that Ukrainian troops were in control of dozens of Russian villages and large swaths of land a week into Kyiv's surprise cross-border incursion. The scale of the incursion became clearer on Monday when Putin, meeting with local officials, apparently was screaming a lot. That's what you get. The acting head of the Kursk region, Alexei Smirnov, that's really his name, Smirnov, told Putin that 28 settlements in his region were now under Ukrainian control, adding that Ukrainian troops had managed to advance some 7.5 miles into the territory across a 25-mile wide stretch of the border. It comes out to about, 386 square miles. And of course, you have to do all the math on this because they talk in meters and kilometers and that kind of stuff. But it's about 386 square miles. Putin said the incursion was an attempt by Ukraine to improve its negotiating position. But what kind of negotiations can we even talk about with people who indiscriminately strike at civilians? Oh, like he's got room to talk on that point, right? At civilian infrastructure, or try to create threats to nuclear power facilities. What can we talk about with them, he said. The thing about it is we sort of have to take their word on everything that's being said there, because there are no reporters that are reporting. I can promise you from the Russian side, no independent reporters that are reporting what's going on the Russian side. And quite frankly, we don't have a lot of people in Ukraine right now who are covering the war. So we just sort of have, and you know what they say in wartime, the first casualty is the truth. You know, it's all a lot of what that comes out in a war zone is all a bunch of propaganda. But it does sound like the Ukrainians have taken land inside Russia, while Russia continues to control a great deal of eastern Ukraine. And we'll see how that all plays out in the days ahead. There's another story unrelated to all of that that's sort of about national security and national defense, and it has to do with the FBI. And it's a technology, I don't know if I can explain this well, called geofencing. In other words, the FBI is now going out and getting general search warrants that allow them to scoop up the private location data of the devices of thousands of people. In this particular case, we're talking about thousands of people who were at the Capitol complex on January 6th. I was one of those people. So they probably scooped up mine. And it irritates me. They apparently can now go to the different phone companies with warrants and say, I want the cell phone data of everybody in this particular area, and they give it what they call a geofence. They'll say, here's the boundaries of the area that I want to look at. And the phone companies have that information. They have those records. If your phone was there, they know just about within about 3 feet of where you were standing with your phone. Isn't that something? But, I mean, they can triangulate right down to about 3 feet. They know where you were standing. So it's very different to be standing on the lawn where I was and to be inside the building where a lot of other people were. And so they apparently have been doing it. Now, there are people who are saying that is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Let's see, here we go. From the Epoch Times, the FBI's alarming use of general warrants to scoop up the private location data of the devices of thousands of people on January 6, 2021 was a violation of the Fourth Amendment that enabled an illegal 4-acre dragnet to generate criminal charges with probable cause, defense attorneys argue in federal court filings. In the wake of the protest and violence at the U.S. Capitol, the FBI served search warrants on technology giant Google and telecommunication companies, including AT&T. The warrant sought to determine who was in and around the Capitol during the hours of unrest and rioting, court filings indicate. Unlike other common uses of search warrants served against specific individuals for specified things, general warrants seek the identity of potential defendants first, with the alleged crimes coming later, defense attorneys say. As somebody who was there that day, I'm a little uncomfortable with what has happened. And I went there as a reporter. I was there to report. I never went in the building. I stayed on the lawn. I observed what I could see. It wasn't until actually I got back to the hotel that night when I had a full and complete understanding of what had happened that day. Because from where I was, I saw some scuffles. I saw some tear gas, but I was on the wrong side of the building to see the people who came into the building and took over the building. I had no real understanding of that until I got back to the hotel and started seeing some of the pictures that from places where I could not have seen. All I could see, sometimes reporters on the ground can't see as much as people watching it at home on TV because you only have one vantage point. You think, well, you were there. What do you think? Well, I know what I saw, but I didn't see it all. Two things concern me. Number one, I had been on vacation in Florida where I had, at the time, a residence, and I had the ability, I had a concealed carry permit from Florida at the time, as well as one in Tennessee. But the one in Florida allowed me to go and buy weapons same day. That was the law in Florida. I now know that the FBI and all the investigators ran background checks on everybody who had bought a weapon recently and was in Washington a few days later, like me. I'd bought a gun legally, did everything by the book, but because I had bought a weapon and then traveled to the nation's capital, I'm pretty sure that they did a thorough background search on me. As it turns out, I'd left the gun in Florida. I didn't have it with me. I'd left it at my home in Florida. But nonetheless, they no doubt checked me because they knew I was there because of my phone, and they knew because of that I'd purchased a weapon. I came under scrutiny, and I also now am finding out that because I was there and because I had a cell phone, they no doubt looked at me and have my data about where I was and where I walked on that day, and it irritates me because I didn't do anything wrong that day, not one thing. And there are a lot of people who didn't do anything wrong, but they had their data scooped up by the FBI. And I think right, that seems like an unreasonable search to me. 51 past the hour. Have you ever noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not. People are really tired of that stuff. And if you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, why don't you come to Eurofix? See, Eurofix will have your vehicle ready when it's supposed to be ready, so you're not standing around wasting your precious and valuable time. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing, and that's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. Why would you want to pay for that? At Eurofix, reliable means a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead. Loaner cars are very popular. So if you're tired of unreliable repair shops, come to where it is reliable. Eurofix, family owned for 24 years. Call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A mix of clouds and sun, 87 degrees. A forecast and a traffic report are coming up. Vice President Harris's running mate speaking today at a government workers union convention in Los Angeles. ABC's Stephen Portnoy, he reports on the story from D.C.
Giving his first solo speech as the Democrats' vice presidential nominee, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz responded to suggestions that he retired from the National Guard to avoid being deployed to Iraq.
I am damn proud of my service to this country.
Walz ended his 24 years of enlistment in 2005 to run for Congress the following year. Walz said fellow veterans shouldn't denigrate the service of others, offering this message to his GOP opponent, Marine veteran J.D. Vance.
Thank you for your service and sacrifice.
President Biden on the road in New Orleans today on the Cancer Moonshot Project aimed at finding cures and treatments for cancer. Biden says the project hopes to reduce cancer deaths by half in the next 25 years. Biden spoke about the DARPA H project. That's modeled on the Defense Department's research arm, and it's aimed at sharing information in health research.
Today, we're announcing $150 million ARPA-H funding for some of the nation's cutting-edge cancer research institutions. That includes right here at Tulane University.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, News Channel 5 reporting a man has now been sentenced to 10 years in prison after he claimed to be a contractor and took money from families throughout the mid-state. Michael Burton pleading guilty to home improvement services fraud in 7 cases ranging from Putnam, Cumberland, White, and Jackson counties. He pleaded guilty to 5 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. Investigators say that Burton stole over $220,000. He said he would do construction work as a licensed contractor, but A, he never had a license, and B, he did not perform any work. And finally, the University of Tennessee has a new branding partner. That for Neyland Stadium and Shields Watkins Field.
Those names won't change, but the largest operator of travel centers and travel plazas in North America has the branding rights. So starting this football season, expect to see Pilot's logo next to signage saying Home of the Vols on the east side of the stadium and Pilot branding on each side of the field, and then throughout UT Athletics and the Vol Network. Terms of the deal have not been released, but UT Athletics Director Danny White told Knox News it's a, quote, huge deal. It's going to help fund the ongoing $337 million renovation at Neyland Stadium. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and I am your friend and radio buddy, and I'm plugged in and ready to share what I've learned. Is he ready to learn some stuff? Well, let's learn some stuff together. I spend hours combing the World Wide Web for you so you don't have to. I know you do anyway, but I still like to do it anyway. So I come in here, I bring you, and I find things that you don't normally hear about. And I'm going to share one of them with you right now. Everybody's looking at the polls, and they say, well, it's tightened up. And it has. I mean, you can't deny that it's tightened up. But there are people out there who say, don't read too much into that. Here is Harry Enton, who crunches the numbers over at CNN. I think he's a pretty up-the-middle guy. I do. I always feel like he gives you both sides of the story and just goes where the numbers tell him the story is. Harry Enton, the number cruncher at CNN.
I want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here before. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now and compare that to where he was in prior years.
I think that's right. And here is another pollster who sort of gives you another take on that from a different perspective. Brent Buchanan, president and founder of a polling company called Signal, says that what is happening in the polls after Vice President Kamala Harris took the place of President Biden atop the Democrat Party ticket may not be as bad for Trump as it first appeared. Shrugging off the view that Harris has been surging ahead of Trump in the last few weeks, Buchanan said the bigger narrative that I think is being totally missed in the media right now is that Trump's actually still holding his own and doing okay. Kamala just appears to be doing better compared to Biden because Biden's floor was so low. Interesting. And it was unrealistically, artificially low in the sense that there were going to be plenty of voters who did not like the guy, who showed up, held their nose, and would vote for Biden anyway. And it wasn't just showing up in polling, but there's been no degradation. Listen to this. No degradation of Trump's ballot share in these polls since they pulled the swapperoo at the top of the ticket. In other words, his numbers haven't gone down. It's just that hers have gone up. And so she says nobody has walked away from Trump in a big way. I think that's now, is it tight? Yes. Is it tighter than it was before? Absolutely. But maybe not as bad if you hear, Harry Enton and now this guy, Brent Buchanan, tell their sense of what the numbers are showing. I think that's worth considering. Of course, everybody's still buzzing about the big 2-hour interview Elon Musk did with Donald Trump last night. It started a little late. It was supposed to start, I think, at 7 o'clock our time. It didn't really get started until about 7:40 because, as Elon put it, there was a server attack against X.
All right. Hello, everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say.
Yeah, well, okay. Now, look, I'm going to say this up front because I like Elon Musk. I've always liked him. The thing I like about him is that he is a very unique individual. He thinks outside the box. He doesn't do things in the traditional way. His mind is just wired different than your mind and my mind. And I have always found those kind of people to be very interesting. I like people who think of the world differently, and he definitely does. And you could say really the same thing about Donald Trump. His mind is wired a little differently as well. And what a great thing it is that he comes in to government with a whole different, fresh perspective, saying, well, why are we always doing the same things the way we've always done them? He questions everything. He asks the right questions. He comes up with innovative ideas. And we can't argue with the success he had as president. His policies really made this country just sort of jump alive. The economy was strong. People were prosperous. I mean, so I have a great deal of affection for people who have minds like that. I had my best friend growing up reminds me a lot of Elon Musk. The guy was brilliant. I mean, just brilliant. But he was sort of all over the place. And, I think we can all agree that, Elon Musk and Donald Trump could, maybe on occasion, benefit from a good dose of Adderall. I think they're just a little scattered. So you have to understand this interview is a lot like that. But there's still a lot of meat to be gotten from it, and here's some of it. Trump talking about the assassination attempt with Elon.
Looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the #1 spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like if you were to pick, what is the favorite, so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building.
You're right.
That building would be #1.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better location. It's like
no, that would have been the spot. Not pleasant. I have to be honest. I said there was blood. I had more blood. I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle. And, it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this or like a lot less than this where you feel it's a surreal situation. And I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah. And
because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, bullets, bullets, get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly. And we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter. And so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was, for those people that don't believe in God, I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer. Now I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle.
Well, okay, so now here is Trump and Elon talking about the situation on the border, but it does devolve into other conversations about Kamala Harris and her flip-flopping on this, that, and the other, or adopting the positions that Trump has had.
Would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration and especially unvetted illegal immigration because that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that actually represent your position?
I say it very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked.
Yeah.
Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. No tax on tips. And all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job on the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12 million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country, many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is insane asylums, and many are terrorists.
Many are terrorists, and that's the big concern. And they say that these two gentlemen agree on one point, that if Kamala Harris becomes president, it will get much worse.
And I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years.
Yeah, no.
We have 20 million people for it. It's a terrible.
Yeah, I think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past, 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't have a country left. Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the 4. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. And I had to stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think this is a super important point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico.
No, Mexico less.
It's just the border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few % of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything.
We're already overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think that's a great one. Elon, he doesn't. That's the great. It's Earth. That's so brilliant the way he sees things in a way that most of us do not. I think there were some of this. Trump went after Biden. And went after, the fact that the guy's pretty much brain dead.
And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been. That war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disastrous. Sure. Hey, look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And, Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story. But if you think about it, Russia's gone, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force. Yeah, sure. And it's very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight. And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that. And a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, I think he's right. He's looking at Ukraine. He's looking at the Middle East. He's looking at the Chinese adventurism. He's talking about the rise of Iran and North Korea. He's absolutely correct in these things. Well, there you have it. A look at how that whole thing went last night. I just saved you 2 hours. So you're welcome. It's 21. Make it 22 past the hour.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
President Biden today with his first comments on Ukraine's incursion into Russia. The CDC with a new COVID warning. And Sumner County teachers, they're a bit happier today. We'll have those stories at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 26 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. A couple of little items that I found interesting. At Delta Airlines, remember, Delta apparently has improved its on-time record. I've been told. I don't fly a lot of Delta, so I don't know. but I've been told that they're pretty reliable now. There was a time when Delta stood for doesn't ever leave the airport.
Not good.
Yeah, no. But their DEI officer, they have one. They've been thinking a lot about DEI over at Delta, apparently. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's why if you get on a Delta airline, you're not supposed to hear the flight crew address the people on the plane as ladies and gentlemen.
But the other more subtle forms of communications, I would call them the little c communications. They might even be verbal communications. So we're beginning to take a hard look at things like our gatehouse announcements. You know, we welcome ladies and gentlemen, and we've asked ourselves, is that as gender inclusive as we want to be?
That's perfectly fine if you ask me.
You know, we're looking at some legacy language that exists in some of our employee manuals and getting to the root of the way some things are described and saying, does that actually send a message of inclusivity?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, no longer allowed. They can no longer call you ladies and gentlemen on Delta Airlines.
Well, what do they say instead?
I don't know.
Hey, people.
All you pronouns out there.
What if I'm a furry? I'm not a person, so that you can't say that. You can't say people.
You can't say people. All you hims and hers, you know, and
I don't identify as a...
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I think we overthink this stuff sometimes. Caitlin Collins from CNN was over on the Colbert Show, and this happened. She's talking about Donald Trump, and you know, she's just giving some analysis. But listen to the question that Colbert asked and how the audience reacted.
He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes it. I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
The audience, they weren't buying that at all. I thought that was hilarious. So people who go to see Colbert, you know how they lean. Even they don't believe. They don't believe that CNN is above board and honest. Look, I'll tell you where I am on this stuff nowadays. If I look at something that CNN reports, I just try to analyze, does this seem fair and balanced? Does it seem like, you know, the reporter's trying to tell both sides of the story? And sometimes they do. I found, by the way, CNN's print stuff is a lot more balanced than the stuff I see on the air. But you got some people out there who were on the air, like this Harry Enton. We ran a soundbite from him earlier. He's just crunching the numbers, telling you what the numbers show. So I think you have to be sort of you have to be a smart consumer of news. Sometimes I find stories, and like today, there was a story in the Washington Post. It was a really interesting story for my audience. I brought that to you earlier, and it was balanced. Not all reporting is balanced, and not all news organizations are completely balanced, but within even unbalanced news organizations, you can occasionally find someone who will give it to you straight. You just have to be able to figure out, whether or not they're being balanced or not. Are they telling you all sides of it? Because sometimes, that's why I find these things on occasion. I bring them to you. You may never even look. But on occasion, it's rare, but on occasion, you find some stuff.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes it. I know.
Is that supposed to be a laugh line?
The audience wasn't buying it. 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news with Jay Harper.
Good afternoon, it's 5:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny now, 87 degrees. Forecast and a traffic report are coming up. President Joe Biden commenting publicly for the first time today on Ukrainian troops' incursion into Russian territory. As the president stepped off Air Force One in New Orleans today, he said Russian territory seized by Ukrainian forces has created a difficult situation for Russian President Vladimir Putin.
It's creating a real dilemma for Putin, and we've been in direct contact, constant contact with the Ukrainians.
COVID cases reportedly on the rise. The CDC says that city and county wastewater samples have detected the highly contagious variants of COVID. ABC's Michelle Franzen has more.
As people gather and travel this summer or head back to school, COVID is back too. Cases are on the rise around the country. The CDC says 27 states are reporting very high levels of the virus found in wastewater samples. Health officials say the latest variants are contributing to the spread and say fewer people may be testing than in previous years. The CDC says the sample levels are still low compared to this past winter. It comes as health officials are expected to roll out the latest COVID vaccines for fall.
Coming back now to Middle Tennessee, teachers are going to soon see some more money in their paychecks, as well as upgrades on the way to athletic facilities in Sumner County. The Sumner County Commission, they passed the budget last night after meeting for almost 4 hours. The budget calls for teachers to be paid $47,800 a year and other support staff to be paid $16 an hour instead of $12. The budget also calling for $5.4 million to be added to the already $15.8 million budget to repair and build 2 new school stadiums. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
You know, I've been talking about USS United structural systems for a long, long time. And all the things that they can do around your house. And, you know, with all of the really, really dry weather we've had this summer, and then before that, it was very, very wet. Well, that's sort of like, you know, the perfect scenario for foundations to malfunction. And if you need foundation repair, listen, there's no other place you should be going. They've been around for some 30 years, some 25,000 satisfied customers. Basement needs waterproofing? They can help you. Mold treatment? They got it. Concrete leveling? Of course they can do that. And by the way, it's cheaper to fix it than it is to replace it. Don't replace it, raise it. And they can do that in just a matter of hours. They can actually, you can walk on it in a few minutes, drive on it in 30, and it'll be plumb and level just like it's supposed to be. Listen, they got some specials going on, what they call a back-to-school promotion, 10% off any job over $2,500. No payments, no interest, 1 year, same as cash with approved credit. And the other thing is that you never pay a penny until you agree upon the job is completed to your satisfaction. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern and Western Kentucky. At USS, they guarantee their best. USSTN.com. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. All right. We need a palate cleanser, don't we? I mean, we've been talking politics, death and destruction, the world on fire. I mean, it's been pretty heavy stuff. Let's talk about some lighter stuff. And what better palate cleanser could we have than a story about your palate?
Oh, that's convenient.
Your tongue. I mean, we don't like to talk about our tongues. They're just sort of, they're supposed to stay in their mouth. They're not supposed to be out where you can see them. But I'm telling you, this might change your feeling about that. You might want to stick your tongue out. Not at me, but at a computer. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Researchers in Iraq and Australia, of all the places, say that they have developed a computer algorithm that can analyze the color of a person's tongue to detect if they have any kind of medical conditions in real time. And get this, in tests, it has been 98% accurate.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, right? The technology could be amazing.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I see what I did there. So stick out your tongue. Let me see, Chris. Stick out your tongue. Well, you have a nice, pretty pink tongue. Looks like you're very healthy.
Well, thank you.
Mine? I don't know. I was eating some cookies earlier.
It's a little, I don't know, a little white.
Well, that's not good, according to this. You ready? You want to hear more about this? Okay, so it can check. Typically, people with diabetes have a yellow tongue. Cancer patients, a purple tongue with a thick, greasy coating. Acute stroke patients present with an unusually shaped red tongue. And there are other things as well. For example, a white tongue, which is what you said I had, can indicate anemia. I don't know. I've been checked for that. It is a little white, though.
Yeah. I think you just need a sip of water.
There are people like watching on Super Talk TV. You're getting that's right. If you have a severe case of COVID-19, you are likely to have a deep red tongue. An indigo or violet-colored tongue indicates vascular and gastrointestinal issues or asthma.
I mean, if I saw somebody with a blue tongue, I mean, something's definitely wrong. I mean, that's kind of obvious,
let's get you to the doctor. That's right. Yeah. If you wonder what have they been eating that's blue, because there is no blue food. Remember that. More than 5,200 images were used to train the artificial intelligence model to identify tongue color and corresponding conditions. So what they did was they reversed this. They said, okay, you got COVID-19. Now let's take a picture of your tongue. And then they told the computer, this person has COVID-19 and this is what their tongue looked like. This person had anemia and this is what their tongue looked like. This person had diabetes and this is what their tongue looked like. And so it built up this model so that now in reverse, if you stick out your tongue, it compares it with the others in the database and comes up with a determination of what's wrong with you to a 98% degree of accuracy.
Wow.
Patients sat about 8 inches from a laptop equipped with a webcam, which took a picture of their tongue. The program was able to determine the disease in almost all cases. Study co-author Javan Chali, a professor at the University of South Australia, says the technology will eventually be used for a smartphone app that can diagnose diabetes, stroke, anemia, asthma, liver, and gallbladder problems, COVID-19 and other issues. Won't get everything, but it will get a lot of things. These results confirm that computerized tongue analysis is a secure, efficient, user-friendly, and affordable method of disease screening that backs up methods with century-old practice. You see, the Chinese... apparently, Chinese medicine's very different than Western medicine. And the Chinese have long believed that you can tell a lot about a person's health by looking at their tongue. It's one of the first things they ask. Let's look at your tongue. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I thought what you do, I never thought about putting it in an app. That's the way to go. Then you can do this in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah.
Or the privacy. And you can... I don't know why I said privacy. Privacy?
Went a little English there.
That was very English. Where did that come from? The privacy of your own home, you could just do it. I thought, well, if you wanted to make money on the deal, you put one of these computers in like a kiosk down at the drugstore.
Okay, like the blood pressure checker.
Yeah, the blood pressure.
Yeah.
And so, you go and you stick out your tongue at this machine, and it gives you your diagnosis.
You'd have people licking the machine or something.
No, it's probably unsanitary. But how about that? Now, this is where I look at AI and I go, AI is going to have some benefits. It really is going to have some benefits. But I'm very concerned about AI being used for bad purposes. Maybe we should look at Will Levis's tongue.
I bet it's got a greasy coating on it.
I don't know what it is because he likes mayonnaise. I don't know what the story is about him and mayonnaise, but apparently at some point he got really picked on by his teammates because he put Hellman's mayonnaise in his coffee. Now, apparently I'm guessing they didn't have any creamer one day. I don't know, but I guess that he did it. And he's sort of had this thing. So now he and Hellman's mayonnaise have come up with, I'm not making this up, a fragrance based on mayonnaise. It's called, Will Levis, no kidding, this is real. This is not a joke. It's sold out. You can't get it now, but it was a limited run, I guess. But he has produced a cologne, I guess you would call it, that he calls Parfum de Mayonnaise.
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
The pictures of this, have you seen the pictures of this?
I have not seen the ad.
They are hilarious because he's first of all, he's a good looking guy. And he's got, it's like typical perfume commercials. It's all done in shades of blue.
Very dramatically.
And very dramatic. And he's holding a jar of mayonnaise and it looks like he's drinking it at one point. He's got his finger, he pokes it into the mayonnaise and he licks it off his finger. I mean, it's weird, but I didn't know that he had this thing about mayonnaise. See, now, Mac Morey would have told us about this.
Yes.
We need to call Mac and ask him what's the story about Will Levis and mayonnaise, because he would give us the background on it.
Apparently, this is not. This came out last year, about this time last year, like right as Will joined the Titans. This the whole Mayo and the coffee thing came out. So that's where
is that when the first stories were broken? Well, apparently, he's running with it, and I could see he's got a sense of humor. It would seem. So,
or he's just weird because apparently at one point he posted a TikTok video of himself eating an entire banana, like the entire thing, skin and all. He's a strange fella, I think.
He didn't peel the banana?
He did not peel it. He just chomped it right on down.
Oh, my gosh. That's horrible. The late Isaac Hayes, the singer, I remember the theme from Shaft. Wasn't that Isaac Hayes? I think it was, yeah. Mm-hmm. I wrote another song, and Donald Trump has been ordered to stop playing the late soul singer Isaac Hayes' song, Hold On, I'm Coming. Oh, yeah, this is good stuff right here. I didn't know this was Isaac Hayes.
Yeah, I didn't know he wrote it, but he did.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I could listen to that for a while. Hold on. Well, apparently Hayes' attorneys sent a letter requesting $3 million in payments for Trump using this on the campaign trail. $3 million, he said that would be a very discounted fee from the usual rate of $150,000 per use of the song. He says it's been... has allegedly been used by the campaign, would lead to a total that would be 10 times as much if we litigate. So he's asking for $3 million. I don't know.
And he has to stop using it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. He composed the song in 1966 with Dave Porter when he was on the staff at Stack Records. So this is not him singing, right?
No.
He went on. Who is it?
Sam and Dave.
Sam and Dave, of course. He wrote it with Dave Porter of Sam and Dave. Went on to become a Grammy and Oscar winner in its own right, with hits like Shaft and Walk On By. Talking about Shaft. Apparently, they have asked the Trump campaign to stop using the song repeatedly, and they say it's been used 134 times on the campaign trail, and once on this program. But he can't charge us.
No.
We're okay with it.
Yes.
It's, let's call it 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk. All right, let's talk about King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood. They've been in business as an independent agency for over 25 years. And let me tell you, if you don't know, an independent agency is exactly what you want. Why? Well, because they can shop around. They don't have to just take one product and make you use it. They can look around at a bunch of different policies, a bunch of different companies, and find that policy that really fits your needs. So you get a lot of bang for your insurance buck. And if you're looked at the cost of insurance lately, you want them out there looking for the best deal. I promise you do. Call this number, 615-329-8121, and you will be put in touch with an actual human being. Try that with like one of those companies that sell insurance on the internet. You're going to be hours getting a hold of a real person, if at all. And then, about half the time, you get on the line and they drop the call. You're not going to have that maddening experience at King & Associates. A real person will answer your call, and then they'll either solve your problem or find somebody real quick who can. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35% are possible, and they are the kings of that. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates. You'll get royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
The UN Security Council meeting today to discuss tensions in the Middle East. President Biden, he's in the Big Easy today to announce cancer research funding. And First Debbie showed up. Now it's Ernesto. We'll have some stories on that and more coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's
what is that?
That's a fish flopping and flipping on the deck of like where you're on a pier. That's
Are you sure?
Flipping and flopping around like Kamala Harris on her various positions.
Okay. You say so.
That's exactly what it is.
All right.
And we'll talk about some of those flip-flopped positions coming up right after the news at 57 minutes past the hour.
Good evening. It's 6 p.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've had some clouds roll in. It's 85 degrees. Your weather forecast and a traffic report are on the way. The United Nations Security Council meeting today to discuss the latest developments in the Middle East as Israel still awaits attacks from Iran, or at least Iran-backed militants, after the assassinations of Hezbollah and Hamas leaders. U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield called for Israel and Hamas to return to negotiations for a ceasefire deal that will end fighting in Gaza and return the remaining Israeli hostages that are held by Hamas.
I cannot stress enough President Biden's view that it is time to bring immediate relief to the long-suffering people in Gaza and the long-suffering hostages and their families. The best way to do that is a ceasefire in Gaza with a hostage deal.
The president traveling to Louisiana today to announce new funding for cancer research.
President Biden tackling an issue close to his heart today, cancer research. The president traveled to Tulane University to announce up to $150 million in awards to develop technologies to help surgeons more successfully remove tumors. It's part of Biden's push to cut the cancer death rate in the U.S. by half in the next 25 years. Biden lost his eldest son, Beau, to cancer in 2015 and spoke about his family's personal experience during his remarks.
That is Molly Nagel reporting. Tropical storm Ernesto moving along the outer Caribbean, and it's picking up some strength. It's on track to become a hurricane tonight and build up as it moves through the islands. ABC senior meteorologist Melissa Griffin reports.
Tropical storm Ernesto continues to strengthen in the Caribbean Ocean. We have a hurricane watch in effect for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and a tropical storm warning is in effect for Puerto Rico. Now, Ernesto is forecast to become a hurricane, but the worst of the impacts, which will be mainly heavy rain and flash flooding, potentially up to 10 inches of rain, is expected for Puerto Rico.
Now, back in Nashville, Metro Police say they arrested a man who was following people around, threatening them with a machete.
News 2 says it was just before 8:30 last night near the intersection of Murfreesboro Pike and Thompson Lane. Police got a call from people in a parking lot saying a man was following them around with a machete. Officers say they got there and found 43-year-old David Cole holding a machete, but he was sweating profusely too, seemingly high on narcotics. Police say they had to tase him for not following officers' commands. Earlier in the night, Cole allegedly crashed a Chrysler van into utility poles along Thompson Place and nearly ran over someone near Mill Creek. The 43-year-old is being held in Metro Jail on an $84,000 bond. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather, there next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Hey, good evening, everybody. It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson on this lovely Tuesday evening. Hope that you're getting home safely. We'll get you up to speed on things happening around the world, across the nation, up your street, and even up your alley. That's right. You can count on us. I want to talk about Kamala Harris. Not that I really want to talk about her, but I guess we're going to have to. I thought this was pretty good today. First, let me get this. This is Karine Jean-Pierre at the White House being asked by an intrepid reporter if she can name Harris's big accomplishments as vice president. Pretty fair question. If you're running and you're running on your record, you got to say, well, what are your accomplishments? Listen for 45 seconds as Kamala Harris hems and haws because she never really ever comes up with anything.
What does the president see as the vice president's biggest achievement during their time in office together?
So look, because they've been partners, those achievements have been done, certainly those historic, unprecedented achievements have been done together. I'll say this, the president believes in the vice president leadership, her temperament, her experience, and he has said this himself. One of the proudest decisions that he made in 2020 was selecting her as vice president because he believed that she can go on day one.
Still waiting.
And you've seen them do that together on day one of this administration. That doesn't change. I'm not going to parse out anything from here. They have been.
You're not going to parse anything out because she can't think of anything.
And partners. She's been a critical partner for this president for during this term, and will continue to do so.
So he went on. The reporter didn't really take that. A good reporter did a follow-up. Said, "So you're saying there's no specific policy achievement? It's a comprehensive whole." And then she replied, "I would say it's a comprehensive whole. Our accomplishments here, the Biden-Harris accomplishments, are the Biden-Harris accomplishments. She played a role, whether it's being on the floor of the Senate, right? Getting really important legislation. She basically tied Kamala to Joe Biden. So when we talk about the failed policies, she can't walk away because Karine Jean-Pierre says she's all a part of everything that they've done there. So the failures of Biden are also the failures of Harris, correct? I think we can lay that now to rest. She really walked into that one. Okay. Kamala Harris. She has a history of flipping. That's a fish flipping on the dock. That's what that is.
So you changed that up a little bit.
Yeah, I had to. Flipping and flopping on the deck of a boat, let's say. She flips positions like a bass out of water. Flipping and flopping there on the bottom of the boat. I don't know. That really doesn't capture it, does it?
It sounds like someone busking on a piece of cardboard. Kind of. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to come up with a better sound effect than that. Remember, it's not sound effects. These are not cheap sound effects. It's sound design, just for the record. All right, she is flipping and flopping like crazy. Unbelievable stuff that is going on here. I'm going to delete that. Okay. For example, here is Kamala Harris talking about nationalized health care. She was in favor of nationalized health care until just recently. Just the other day, she changed her position. But here's what she said back in 2019.
And the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care.
Everyone. Nationalized health care.
And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company. Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
Who here would abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan?
Yeah.
Now, that last question was asked by Lester Holt at a Democrat primary debate that NBC hosted, and you had about 15 Democrats who were all running at that time for the office of the presidency, and he asked them who would give up your private insurance in exchange for nationalized health for Medicare for all, and there were two people on the dais of about 15 Democrats who raised their hands. One of them was Bernie Sanders. The other was Kamala Harris. So when he says,
in favor of a government-run plan. Yeah. All right.
Imagine Kamala there with Bernie holding up their hand. All right, so there we go. That. I mean, she honestly, she flips and flops. That's why, that's why we have the Wayback Machine. We will use the Wayback Machine to point out these things. And there's a lot of stories. If you're going to tie, as Corrine says, everything that the Biden administration has done or has not done is, well, Kamala's a part of it. She's a part of it because that's what Corrine said, right? Here we go. Reshaping the electorate. Biden-Harris administration granting citizenship at the fastest rate in a decade. Breitbart.com. The federal government is approving U.S. citizenship requests at the quickest rate in a decade, dispensing with a backlog attributed to coronavirus pandemic and tighter approval regime that reached its zenith under former President Donald Trump, a report Tuesday sets out. Naturalization ceremonies typically spike ahead of an election, the New York Times reports, makes it clear before detailing the rise in approval numbers for citizenship that also confers with its full voting rights. In other words, the Biden administration, with Harris as vice president, is moving people who are in this country to citizenship at a faster rate than you might imagine. The surge in naturalization efficiency isn't just about clearing backlogs, it's potentially reshaping the electorate merely months before a pivotal election. Every citizenship application could be a vote that decides Senate seats or even the presidency. New York Times reports that, the New York Times report goes on to set out at under 5 months, application processing speed is now on par with 2013 and 2014. About 3.3 million immigrants have become citizen during President Joe Biden's time in office, with less than 2 months to go before the close of the 2024 fiscal year. See, that's always been their plan. That's always been their plan. Now, there's a lot of people who've come into this country illegally who are not citizens. However, it's pretty easy for them to get the documentation to vote, even though they're not supposed to vote. But here's 3.3 million people who weren't on the rolls before, who are now on the roll this presidential election season, who are new immigrants to this country, and either legally or illegally, one way or the other, they've been made citizens. 3.3 million people. And not only that, they're not doing anything to get rid of people like they said they were going to. Biden and Harris, remember, they're wedded together. Anything that Biden is responsible for, Harris is responsible for as well. Biden-Harris failed to remove 90% of illegal immigrants under new ICE program. And this quotes House Committee on Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green of Tennessee. He shared his reaction to the report in the New York Post showing that the Biden-Harris administration has rarely removed illegal immigrants under a new Immigration and Customs Enforcement program. It was called the Family Expedited Removable Management Program, or FIRM, announced in May of 2023. The administration has only removed around, are you ready, 2,600 illegal immigrants under the program, arriving as family units, while Border Patrol apprehended almost 850,000. I don't know, in that same time period, that's in less than 1 year. There have been millions of people who've come into this country, and they've gotten rid of and sent back home 2,600. A drop in the bucket. So, when she says, hey, when I become president, we're going to crack down on the border, you simply cannot expect them to honor that promise, because they haven't done it. What they want is they want to change the demographics of America forever. And they may have already done it. It may be a little too late. I hope it's not, but it may be. Here's another one. You hold it. You've got a better flip-flop thing?
And that one's the best one that I could find. Yeah, you can try it. See what you think.
That sounds like a typewriter.
There's a little moisture involved, though.
We got to find a better, because I'll let you keep working on it.
Most of them are Not good.
I don't know how you capture that sound. In Pennsylvania, Harris can't shake her anti-fracking past. From the Washington Post. I told you that every once in a while you find a gem in the Washington Post, even though you wouldn't imagine it. After years of positioning herself as a climate crusader and ardent opponent of fracking, Kamala Harris has avoided mentioning of such credentials in this must-win state for Democrats where natural gas drives the economy, the culture, and everyday conversation. Her new approach is proving a tough sell. Many of the swing voters here, whose livelihoods rise and fall with the fortunes of the fossil energy industry, have not forgotten the last time Harris ran for president when she called for a ban on fracking, extracting natural gas by creating cracks in the Earth's bedrock. It's a position she now disavows. She said, no, I never said that. I never believed that. Well, if I did, I don't believe it now. Well, why now? Why did she change? Because she needs votes in Pennsylvania. That's why. Even in the boom in oil and gas production under the Biden-Harris administration is failing to assuage anxieties. Is that the right word? That's the way you say it, assuage? Anxieties that the halcyon days, well, there's two big words in one sentence. It's the Washington Post, after all. Fracking for natural gas would dim Harris win if Harris wins the White House. They would dim. Boy, that sentence I just need to start over on that sentence. Even the boom in oil and gas production under the Biden-Harris administration is failing to assuage anxieties that the halcyon days of fracking for natural gas here would dim if Harris wins the White House. Okay, went a long way for that. But it's true. She changes her positions simply because she thinks you won't remember what she said back in 2019. When she said that she was very strongly against fracking. But now, when she's running for president and she needs votes in Pennsylvania, she's all for the fracking. I wonder how her Green New Deal people feel about that. I wonder are they going to stand by and allow? You know what she's going to do? You know what she's going to do. She's going to do the same thing they've been doing on the border. She's going to do the same thing they've been doing about energy policy. She will not change. She will not change the policies of the Biden administration. She'll tell you whatever she has to tell you to get elected. And then, she can flip and she can flop. You got another one?
No, not yet.
Okay. She'll flip and she'll flop like a fish on the deck of a boat. But she never is going to really change her true nature. We all know that. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Hey, do you know that gold is up 78% over the last 5 years, silver up 99% in the same time period? Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. This government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation theft. During an election year, politicians will promise you that they'll rein in their spending. But you know how it is. That's campaign talk. They just can't help themselves. That's why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. Where do you go to get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take great care of you and keep you well informed on precious metals opportunities. Please act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com to set up your appointment today.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
A Tennessee man is on the run after not appearing for his court date that was on rather serious charges. We'll also have today's closing money news. That's all coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Harris campaign, they're a piece of work, I'm telling you. I love this story from justthenews.com that I think just talks about, how they are sort of like the only standards that Democrats have are double standards. Vice President Kamala Harris has repeatedly espoused opposition to voter ID laws. She thinks that these are somehow racist for people to be required to show an ID to prove they are who they say they are. Now, in Tennessee, I show my driver's license before I can vote. I did the other day. But in other parts of the country, they have gone away from having you prove you are who you say you are when you show up to cast your ballot. And she's been right there with them, attacking anything that brings voter integrity as an attack against people of color. And yet, so she doesn't like the idea of you having to show a driver's license or some kind of government ID or some kind of picture ID. A water bill in some places will get it for you. Whatever it is, something that proves you are who you say you are and you live the place you say you live. I mean, that's all that I think that we can ask. But she says, no, that's racist. However, if you want to go to a Kamala Harris rally, guess what you have to do? You have to provide an ID, a picture ID. Vice President Kamala Harris has repeatedly espoused opposition to voter ID laws, yet her campaign recently required that attendees present a valid identification to RSVP for one of her rallies. The event took place at the Desert Diamond Arena near Phoenix, Arizona. Ahead of the event, I'm not making this up, the campaign distributed an email requiring attendees to RSVP and to present a government-issued ID. The requirement drew rebuke from conservatives online in light of Harris's past opposition to voter ID laws and other election integrity measures. When on the campaign trail as Biden's running mate, Harris said she attacked suppressive voter ID laws, racial gerrymandering, voter roll purges, precinct closures, and reduced early voting days, contending that those measures had been laser targeted toward communities of color. Since her appointment from Biden, moreover, Harris has heavily scrutinized state-level efforts to limit mail-in voting and otherwise verify the legitimacy of ballot or voters. Georgia, in particular, fell into her crosshairs. So, isn't it interesting? What's good for the goose ought to be good for the gander. If you say that you don't believe in voter IDs, then why should people have to show a legal ID just to come and attend one of your campaign rallies? You know the answer to this. I mean, I'm telling you, double standards. Recently, Harris met with voting rights advocates in Atlanta, Georgia, where she advocated for the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, a proposed expansion of federal voting right protections that ultimately did not become law. While there, she pointed out that the White House called a full-on assault on the freedom to vote from extremists, referring to Republican-driven efforts to secure Georgia elections driven in part by Trump's criticism of alleged irregularities. We have seen in the state of Georgia, for example, anti-voter laws that have limited drop boxes and made it illegal to even provide food and water. That is simply not true. That old food and water thing. They're saying that you can't hand somebody a bottle of water if you're outside while they're standing in line in the hot sun, ready to go inside and cast your ballot. You can't give that person any water. I don't know anybody who would crack it down on you for that. Look, if you need in this country an ID to cash a check, you need an ID to get a fishing license, for goodness sakes. You need an ID. You can't buy beer without an ID. I can't even go. I at my advanced age, can't even go down to the Chili's in Lebanon without having to show an ID before I buy an adult beverage. I mean, I'm constantly amazed that they require somebody who's clearly of elderly status like me.
Elderly.
I mean, I got elderly. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting up there. I'm older than dirt, man. I'm telling you. I look at my hair; it's gray. Anybody that's got gray hair, you shouldn't have to ask for their ID. I'm just sort of, I'm diverting from the original topic, but I mean, this bothers me. But I mean, if I have to show an ID in order to get an adult beverage at the Chili's in Lebanon, then why shouldn't we have to show an ID to vote? I don't know. It seems pretty clear cut to me that should not be an onerous burden on anyone. But Kamala Harris, if you want to go to her rally, be sure to pony up and have that ID, or you will be turned away at the gate. 30 minutes now past the hour.
Good evening. It is 6:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've had, a mix of clouds and sun now. We're at 83 degrees. A traffic report and a weather forecast are upcoming. News 2 reports that Humphreys County deputies, they're looking for a man facing charges for a deadly crash from 2 years ago. He failed to show up for his trial today. According to Humphreys County Sheriff's Office, the warden there, James Eric Warden, rather, he is the young man that is wanted for aggravated vehicular homicide, reckless endangerment, and other felony charges. Officials said that Mr. Warden was last seen in McEwen at approximately 8 o'clock last night. He was driving a gray 2012 Chevy Impala with a trailer hooked up to it and a tag of 330BM as in Mary, F as in Frank, K as in cars for kids. Authorities warn that Warden, that man is possibly armed, so if you see him, you are urged to use caution and call the Humphreys County Sheriff's Office. We now have today's closing money news. Here's Daria Albinger.
From ABC News Wall Street now, stocks closed at their session highs. The Dow soared 409 points. The S&P added 90, and the Nasdaq may have had the best day of all, up 407 points. Wholesale prices eased a bit in July. Another sign that we may have seen the worst of inflation, the Producer Price Index, which tracks costs month to month and year over year before they reach consumers, rose just 0.1% from June to July, down from 0.2% a month earlier. Prices rose 2.2% since last year, the smallest rise of its kind since March. The Consumer Price Index will be released on Wednesday. Historically, these indices move in tandem, but that isn't always the case. The changes continue to brew at Starbucks now with a new CEO, Brian Niccol, the former CEO of Chipotle, who revived the chain when it was in distress. He replaces Laxman Narasimhan, who's stepping down after a little more than a year on the job.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Let me tell you about the folks at Restoration Wellness and Med Spa. I'm a big fan of this place because I'm telling you, it's working for me. Let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your summer goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. It's in Lebanon, conveniently just off the interstate, not far. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, when you get there, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, and they will take great care of you like you're just part of the family. And in fact, I feel like part of the family because they've taken great care of me. I'm down 25 pounds, folks. 25 pounds. It was absolutely painless. I'm not even hungry. It's an amazing thing. Be part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. And these are customized treatment plans, not one size fits all. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, your goals. They'll come up with a plan that fits your needs. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has the solution for you. Try out some of the newest ideas in weight loss management at Restoration Wellness Med Spa. Learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It's 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. We'll be here for about another 22 minutes. Then we do the news, and then you get a big old dose of Mark Levin, the great one. I was just looking at some stuff. I want to talk about, hang on. I want to talk about this story involving a Minnesota grandma. Lisa Hansen is her name. Former small business owner sentenced to 90 days in prison because she had the temerity to open up her coffee shop during COVID. She had a coffee wine bar thing. You know, you've seen them. And it was doing quite well. until COVID came along. And at first she went along, she closed it down. But then, she realized, this is unfair. This is un-American. This is unconstitutional. And she decided she was going to open back up. And she got hit square between the eyes. They landed on her with a ton of bricks. They did. And it was Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz who was behind, she believes, most of the things that happened to her back then. Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz apparently took great offense to the fact that she was defying openly his shutdowns during COVID. I think it's a great story, and I want you to hear her tell it in her own words. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you did back during COVID, just angry about what the government was doing to all of us.
Of course, we all know, I will never forget the year 2020 when COVID happened. And in the state of Minnesota, my business is located in the state of Minnesota, southern Minnesota. It was a lovely wine and coffee bistro, and it had been in operation for going on 8 years by the time that my business was shut down and destroyed. And when I say it was destroyed, I'm speaking of the being shuttered and not being able to survive that because of what Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison did to me. Who did he not shut down? Who were the essential business owners? That would have been your big box stores with hundreds and hundreds of people coming to visit through their doors a day. He did not shut down liquor stores. He did not shut down strip clubs. He shut down a lot of the mom and pop shops, those folks that were just trying to make a living. There's no way we could survive this. We actually joined in with an organization or a group called Open Minnesota, I believe is what it was. We had every right to be open. We had God-given, constitutionally protected rights to be open. So we opened up. I can't tell you for sure how long we were open, but immediately within 24 to 48 hours, the state came down on us with a vengeance. They attacked me, a woman, small business owner. They came down. They sent the health department down. They sent everything they could against us. I think it was 5 civil cases were thrown at me and 2 criminal cases were thrown at me. I've incurred tens of thousands in court fees, in legal fees. There have been upwards near 100,000 levied against me. I went to court. I was found guilty. I was not allowed to present my defense in a court of law. I was given a sentence to 90 days, which was the max sentencing people. And this is what we need to be standing against. Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful coach-like, all the things that the MSMs are calling him, or some of the things that they're calling him. That is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. And so her message is, you don't buy all this stuff that he's a avuncular uncle, a friendly coach. He's a hardliner about certain things, and absolutely destroyed this woman's business. I will say here in Tennessee, our mayor at the time, Mayor Munchkin, he was pretty heavy-handed in Nashville. But our governor, although he closed some things down at first, he pretty much figured out right away, as we got into the thing, that wasn't the right way to go. And he did a 180 as soon as it became clear that there were ways that you could do things safely. And he was in favor of those things. But Governor Walz in Minnesota absolutely held on to the bitter end and went after anybody who dared to challenge him with a vengeance. And it really wasn't fair that it was the mom and pop stores that got knocked out. I don't know about you, but just listening to her talk, it took me back to that time, and I just got all angry again about the things. And we didn't have it near as bad as the people in Minnesota had it. Don't you know? Tim Waltz pushed a 70% gas tax hike when he first became governor. Within his first weeks, according to the Free Beacon, Tim Waltz proposed to hike the Minnesota state gas tax by a staggering 70%,
An increase criticized as highway robbery. Then, as inflation surged, Waltz turned around and supported a federal gas tax pause. Of course he did. It was his first budget proposal announced in February of 2019, a provision to increase the Minnesota gas tax by 20 cents a gallon. Wow! From 28.6 cents per gallon to 48.6. That's just the tax. A 48-cent tax on a gallon of gas. The 70% increase would have taken the state from having the 29th highest rate to the 4th highest, placing it only behind Pennsylvania, California, and Washington states. I have often said that a budget is not only a fiscal document, it's a moral document, he said. This budget reflects the morals of the people of Minnesota. I don't know how they felt about it, but I wouldn't be happy if my gasoline was going to go up automatically 20 cents a gallon just as soon as you came into office. See, this is the thing. They're going to talk about all the things they're going to promise you and all the things they're going to do. Oh, the border will be secure. Oh, no, we don't want to nationalize health care. Oh, no, fracking. We love fracking now. We were wrong before. They're going to tell you everything that you want to hear. But you know what's going to happen when they take office. They're going to go right back to their natural instincts. And you're talking about two people. He is very progressive. She is very progressive. Was listed as the most progressive senator in the Senate the last year she served there. Even more progressive than crazy man Bernie Sanders. Even more progressive than Bernie Sanders. You know that's what they're going to do. So just get ready. If they become, if they get into office, they won't remember any of the things they promised you in this campaign. They'll do what their instincts always tell them to do. And they've never seen a program, a tax and spend program that they didn't love. And they've never seen anything, that would be progressive that they weren't just lapping up like dogs. I need another palate cleanser, but I won't talk about tongues this time. I want to talk about, before we get out of here, the upcoming Tennessee State Fair. It's coming, I'm sort of excited about it. If you don't know, the Tennessee State Fair is held in conjunction and at the same time and place as the 2024 Wilson County Fair. They're the same, one and the same. They always even had a great county fair, and now it's become officially the Tennessee State Fair. Last year, in the last 2 years, 1.5 million people have gone to the Tennessee State Fair in Wilson County. Out there at the James E. Ward Agricultural Center in Lebanon, that's just down the road from me here. In 2022, the fair drew 776,000 people. In last year's fair, 739. It's a great fair. And even the Wilson County Fair used to have more than 500,000 people who would go. And, there's a lot of things about county fairs that you got to love. And they're going to have a bunch of really neat stuff. They have Fiddler's Grove Historic Village. And I've been told, I gotta get this locked down. Sam Houston's original law office is in Fiddler's Grove. Now,
Sam Houston?
The Sam Houston. Yeah, probably, I think, one of the most fascinating people in history. Served as a governor in 2 states, served as a president of 1. He served in Congress. I think he served the House, the Senate, and as governor twice in Tennessee and in Texas. So, I'm fascinated. I think he's one of the most fascinating political figures. And apparently, he started his law office in Wilson County. But anyway, I digress. Whereas it starts the 15th, goes to the 24th, the James E. Ward Agricultural Center, 945 East Badur Parkway in Lebanon. I hope I'm saying that right. I know I'm saying Lebanon right. I don't know if I'm saying Badur Parkway. And they got some good stuff. Season tickets for the whole thing, all days, will be, all 9 days, $45. If you want to get a 1 day, it's like $12. Daily tickets are $15 for ages 13 and over, $6 if you're 6 to 12. And if you're 5, God bless you, you get to go free.
You probably need a ride there, though.
Yeah, you can't just walk. I know. So there you go. What to bring, what not to bring. There's some things you need to know about. There will be metal detectors. If you have a bag, it's got to be a clear bag. Concealed or open carry weapons not allowed. No outside food or drink is allowed. Unauthorized use of drones is prohibited. How could you get authorization, I wonder? Some of the things they're going to have, I wonder if they're going to have the cow made of butter.
You better keep it indoors, that's for sure.
Though, it's always refrigerated. I remember going to a county fair and seeing the cow made of butter. I want to see the cow made of butter. Backstreet seat driver competition. Apparently, 2 people in a golf cart with a blindfolded driver and the partner giving directions through a course
that sounds
at
like
the
fun.
motorsports arena. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
The Festival of Breads. Who doesn't like bread? A live blacksmith demonstration. They got a bunch of new kiddie rides they're talking about this year. And trick goats. What else do you need? It's happening soon near you. Wilson County. Come see us. 6:50 now on Super Talk 99.7. Those folks over at Busy Bee, when you need heat or cold AC, they got some special giveaways that are timed to sync up with people going back to school. Purchase a new efficiency unit, high efficiency unit. Register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, which is a $2,000 sponsorship that you give, if you win, to a local school of your choice. Now, the school must be in the service area, not out of region, not out of state. And then they got another thing. It's a Beehive Club, buy one, get one. You buy a member of the Beehive Club, and you need to do that. Starts at $99. You get 3 inspections of your major systems each year, and that's where it starts. And then if you get one, you buy one, you get to give one to a teacher, a faculty member, a staff member of any local school or higher education institution within the service area. So there's all that. Some other things that, are not necessarily related to back to school, but just good deals. $300 off tankless water heater conversion. $500 off main drain and main water pipe replacement. $500 off home drain repipe. $700 off home water line repipe. You need some indoor air quality products, $100 off. Plumbing service, $250 off. Water filtration products. All kinds of things during the month of August. Take advantage of this stuff, folks. Here's the number, 615-775-7833. Learn more by going to their website, busybhvac.com.